we have another special guest with us. This is Brandy Cole. Hi, Brandy.
Hey, how's
How
it
are
going?
you?
Good.
Good. So, we brought him on. He is another fellow, I guess, Potterhead. Um, Brandy, you and I have known each other since high school.
Yep.
So tell everybody, including Roman and Adam, who you've never met until tonight, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I started a small business. It's called Potter Punks. Basically, what I do is I design and screen print patches, shirts, and it's all around the theme of if what would punks wear in in Harry Potter areas in Hogsmeade, or you know what I mean. So they all are on a theme of what the social justice issues, I guess you could say, would be in in um, in his time, or in
Right.
his there's all kinds of little things I think in Harry Potter series that kind of they touch on racism and classism and all that stuff, but in a kid friendly way, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be an interesting little project to start for myself personally. I started wearing the stuff to the Universal parks, and everyone was like, "Well, where'd you get that? Where'd you buy that?" Or,
Yeah.
"Oh man, I would die to have something like that." And it was a joke for a while. My wife was like, "You could sell that stuff," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's." Um, but then it got to a point where I was like looking around, and you couldn't get anything that I'm making anywhere. And there's definitely people that want it. Not everyone wants the same, Deathly Hallows symbol on a
Mhm.
T-shirt. They want something a little bit different, and no one was offering it. So I was like, well, I know how to screen print. I've got a button maker,
There you go.
so that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. So, little backstory for you guys and everybody. So, Brandy and I went to high school together. I graduated a year before you, I think. Yeah.
Well, I
Um,
mean, I didn't graduate, so.
oh, well, you would have. Uh, we dated for like what, 4 years, maybe,
Think
roughly.
so. Yeah.
He probably wants to forget. So basically, back in the day, there was no. I mean, there was Harry Potter. Harry Potter just started coming out, but Brady and I didn't like Harry Potter. We didn't. I mean, we that wasn't our thing. Um, he is constantly going to punk shows. He got me into the punk scene, and he got me really into cars, basically. So when I saw on Instagram you were doing all this Harry Potter stuff, I'm like, what is going on? This isn't the
Yeah.
person that I know. And I reached out to him and I'm like, what are you doing? This stuff is awesome. And it was right around the time that I decided to get a Harry Potter tattoo. And I was like, your stuff is just awesome. So, and we'll go more into your stuff later.
Yeah.
I want you to show some stuff and talk about that. But so you obviously liked Harry Potter before you started, doing this. You were going to the parks, you said, and stuff like that. When did that start? How did you get into that? The movies, the books?
So for me, it was the movies. My wife, when she was younger, read all the books when they were new. So she was super into the story. I really enjoyed the movies, but really what sparked it was going to the parks. Going to Diagon Alley, it's so detailed, and so, there's millions of little things like, oh, look, here's a little nod to this or that or whatever. It made it feel, more real, I guess.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, though, why I started, doing this is they used to have celebration of Harry Potter. It was like a 3-day event, and they would have characters there. They would have, whatever. But the biggest thing there was cosplay. So I'm not, a cosplay type of person typically, but the community was so cool that I wanted to do something to kind of get involved, without, dressing up like Dobby or
Right.
something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not
Right.
something that I'm comfortable putting myself out there. I don't like to, I mean, you wouldn't really know it from having a big green mohawk, but I don't really like people staring and talking to me. I mean, but yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I saw
Yeah.
so many people so excited about it that it just got me excited about it too. As dumb or cliche as that sounds, I was just,
No,
the
it's not
community is
cliche.
cool.
Yeah, I know, Adam, you got really excited when you went to the park. I
Oh,
haven't been yet. And I know you just spent hundreds of dollars on stuff and just went crazy. So
yeah. As soon as I walked in, it was August too, and it was raining, and I was like, first thing I had to do is get my robes, and I did, and I wore them around the whole time, and I was running around like a 5-year-old, just like, let's look over here, let's go over here. Oh, I'm getting that. And they stood in line, get my wand, the one for your birthday, and yeah, it was a magical day at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, I saw the park when I went with you to Halloween Horror Nights, and of course everything was shut down. But so he's like, "Yeah, we need to go get in line for a house," and I'm like, "But," I'm like pointing everything. I'm like, "No, look!" I was just like so super excited. So Roman's not a fan, and that's why we wanted to talk about this on our show. Is we wanted to get his insight on why he's not a fan, and kind of maybe change his mind or open it a little bit more, because it means so much to a lot of people, and it's not just for kids, and I know a lot of adults like it too, but I'm determined to make him change his mind just a little bit. No.
Excellent. It's kind of like having a friend who is not vegan. It's like, hey, we're going to make you vegan today. Oh, are you? Good luck to you. I wish you the best. But a couple questions that I got for you, sir, is you touched about social issues and like punks in the Harry Potter universe, and that really got me going. And I'm thinking of like, what social issues could you see like a punk kid have in Harry Potter universe? So I'll pose that question to you, sir.
Yeah.
Randy.
Yep. So the biggest ones, they didn't make it into the movie, was Hermione actually started a group to promote Elvish welfare, and she was handing out buttons, and her group was SPEW, but Ron and Harry started calling it Spew. But that's been a big, I did a patch about that almost first thing, and that's been a huge seller, because everyone can kind of relate. These are like, people are keeping slaves, like, and no one seems to see any issue with it except for her. And it's just so funny that she starts handing out buttons, because that's exactly what a punk would do. They would start spreading their message and try to get people on board. There's quite a bit. Of course, I'm a nerd about Harry Potter. I'm also a nerd about punk music and punk history, so I see punk in everything. So maybe I'm off base, but even if you look at some of the lore and the backstories and stuff, and you can relate them to different things that were going on in that time period, kind of. I know we're going to get to, one of my favorite characters or whatever, but even that, there's, if you really look into a lot of the things, it's a lot deeper than just a, wizarding story or kids at school type of story.
Especially in the side stories, like when you look at why am I drawing a blank? When you look at what was the new series that they put out,
Fantastic
Beasts. Fantastic Beasts. I mean, when you're getting again with the politics and the what's his name was, an orphan and all that stuff, and they're throwing out propaganda. I mean, it's not just a story. Like, you can relate a lot of stuff to what's going on, especially now in our politics, and we're not going to get into that. But yeah, I totally see where you're coming from with this spew thing.
Yeah, another thing would be when Umbridge took over the school. So it's like she took over, ran it like a female Hitler, basically, and people stood up, even though it was, she was the one that was in charge, or the ministry was in charge. It's sometimes the people in charge are wrong, and they, had a little group to stand up and protect themselves.
Yeah, she was put in there by the government.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's not such a hidden nod to that type of, at least, you don't have to always respect authority. When you think it's wrong, when you think authority is wrong, you can change it. You can stand up and you can change it. So it sounds mushy and and weird to be talking about Harry Potter in that way, but I don't know. That's just how I see it.
And
there's anarchy in Harry Potter, Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like in the Jimmy Stewart moment in Harry Potter, Oh, gee, hold on. We can do it. But the other question I have, because you're talking about it, if Harry Potter, because every school has that one punk band, whether it's a garage punk band, if you could, what would the name be of the punk rock band, the local punk rock band for Hogwarts?
So I would steal the name from my favorite or only wizard punk band, I think, and they go by the Flabbercasters. And yeah, so everyone out there has got to check them out. The Wand Chooses You is the best, and I would say only wizard punk band out there.
The Wand Chooses You? You said the Wand Chooses You?
The Wand Chooses You. And it's like traditional kind of punk, so besides that, there was we'll get into it later. I'll bring up another thing later, but yeah, I think Flabbercasters would be.
Flabbercasters. Anything else, Roman, before we get into it?
No. Those were just some random thoughts.
No, those are good. Those are good questions.
Well, I'm not just pretty face. I'm not just eye candy. All right. But yeah, Adam, do you agree with the Flabbercasters? Would you add a punk rock name to the table? Maybe the Wontons?
The Wontons?
Yeah.
The Wontons?
Yeah.
A wand.
Yeah, there you go. It's a play on words. Come on.
The Wontons.
I'm thinking like a high school punk rock band, No, nobody. Oh, anyways. Adam, get me off this crazy thing.
I'll get you off the crazy thing. So let's move on to characters. Is there one character, good or bad, that you relate to, you think is cool?
Yeah, so the character I relate to the most, I would say, is Luna Lovegood. She's the little goofball, the lovable goofball, but she's a lot deeper. You know what I mean? She's a lot deeper than just a ditzy blonde that kind of floats around the school or whatever. She's really saved his bacon quite a few times, saved the school. But the character that I think I find most interesting is Sirius Black. In the movies, I mean, he was Gary Oldman, you know what I mean? So, obviously, he's going to be a favorite of mine right off the bat. But his story, I thought, was really interesting, too. Another thing, social justice thing, he was falsely imprisoned for how many years, and everyone thought that he had did it, and he really didn't get a fair shake after that either. It's like, so he died and people still thought he killed a bunch of people. He killed 12 muggles and killed Peter Pettigrew or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was another one. That was the second thing I probably did, was Sirius Black was innocent button. And I've sold, I don't even know how many of those. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's those type of things where everyone kind of sees it and, you know, but no one really cares. You know what I mean? So you could be in prison and you're just rotting away. That's it. No one cares until a group steps up and tries to clear your name. So I thought that was interesting. So I started looking at some of his backstory and some of his lore. And so there is a band, and it's only mentioned like once in, I forget which movie it is, but it's mentioned in the Quibbler about a band called the Hobgoblins, and they have a lead singer that quit.
Roman quit. No, go on.
So they had a band, the Hobgoblins. They quit in 1980 when the lead singer was hit in the ear with a turnip, which is the same. It's the same type of things that were happening in punk shows back in the day, but there were beer bottles, and you know what I mean. So that, I feel like that's another little nod to either the punk or the metal scene or whatever. Like there was this band that, you know, they probably weren't all that great, so people started throwing bottles at them. The lead singer was said to be, he went by Stubby Boardman or something like that, but the Quibbler reported that it was actually Sirius Black. So it was like another tick in the box for me. Like, okay, so Sirius Black has a bunch of tattoos. The motorcycle that Hagrid rides is his. He gave it to Hagrid. And he was the leader of a punk band in the wizarding world. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's definitely my favorite character. I know it's probably a ton of people's favorite characters too, but
I don't know. I think he's one of those misunderstood characters where they made him out to be so bad and scary, and even after he was, you know, proven that he was a good, you know, godfather and everything, and people still were like, I don't know. I think people still didn't like him. I've never heard anybody say my favorite character is Sirius Black. But
I used to hear it a lot, but
really,
yeah.
Well,
I heard it today.
He was just the badass, and even
he was,
but he even had a bad reputation at school. I mean, he would pick on Snape, and him and James Potter were kind of dicks. And you know, he never got the break that he needed in life.
Like, yeah, I think he went to Azkaban like fairly young. And then that was it, you know. And even when he got out, it took him a while to even get back to somewhat normal. He, you know, when they first introduced him, he still was like a wild beast, you know what I mean? Like when they were when they find out Pettigrew was Ron's rat the whole time, and they're going to kill him and all that stuff, you could still see the wild look in his eyes. You could still see, like, you know, he's not back to normal. He may never even be socialized again. So I think he's a great character. I think he's interesting that he went against basically his whole family. They were all Slytherin. They were, you know, and he went against all that. And it's, you know, I think that's another thing to chalk up in his favor, I guess, or in his character, that he could have gone down an even worse path than he did, but, you know, just wasn't that way.
Yeah. So you got two characters that both are misunderstood, but both kind of stood up for themselves, because Little Miss Luna, she's always viewed as the weirdo girl, the girl that doesn't look like anybody else, dress like anybody else. And she just always smiled and just kept on walking, her cute little voice, and it never got to her at all. And I think that's a really good role model for kids that are watching the movies and reading the books, that you can be whoever you want. Doesn't matter if you're following the crowd, you be you and don't let anybody bother you. So it's kind of same as Sirius. So those are two. I see why you like both of those.
Not only that, but the actress that played Luna, Ivana Lynch, she got the role, if I'm not mistaken. She was just a huge fan of the books and the movies, and then just, got her dream role. So, that's like another thing to really look up to. Like, if you're trying hard enough, sometimes you can get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's possible. Not always, but,
Now, when you went to the convention, was that in Orlando that they had that?
Yeah, I was actually at the parks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and I don't remember if it cost more or not, but basically we had already gotten a annual pass at that point. So we went once. The second time we were like, no, we're just going to get an annual pass. Mm-hmm. The first time we went was in December, and the celebration was in January. So that's how quickly we were hooked on going there.
Did they have any people from the movies there, or is it just
Yeah, they have like a big stage kind of in the middle-ish area of Universal, and they had like a Q&A type of thing with some of the characters. They had props from the movies, they had all kinds of stuff. But like I said, the biggest thing was all the people that showed up and how intense the cosplay was. The smallest little character that you don't even think about, or completely ancillary people, and people nailed it to a T. There's a few moaning myrtles that were super awesome looking. Just and all different types of people. That's the other thing that's really great. The community. On my Instagram, I have a couple hundred people following, but they are all so different. Trans, gay, straight, asexual, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? And everyone gets along really well. And they're so helpful and so, I don't know, kind, so it feels like when people, I don't know how to say it, it's like people that are into this or into like, I don't see any like terrible Nazi Harry Potter followers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see, like, I'm a Hufflepuff and white power. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a thing.
Couldn't say that.
So.
Yeah, it's a good community.
So it's already one step above Star Wars.
Star
Wars fandom is terrible.
Yeah, you never hear anything bad about Potterheads. They are always very welcoming people. We don't talk bad about a lot of stuff, so that's good.
And I think that's even despite the author.
Right.
She's come out and said some horrible stuff, but it really hasn't slowed the community down. If anything, people are, asking me if, hey, are you gonna, do any trans rights Harry Potter themed patches? I'm like, I don't know enough about it to do it justice, but put me in contact with someone. And they're like, okay, you know what I mean? So hopefully we'll be working together and getting some stuff going. But, I think it's less about at this point, it's less about the media, the books, the movies, the games, all that stuff, and more about people are kind of doing their own thing with it now.
I mean, I'm not going to write off my love of the characters because of the author. I mean, it's complete. I can separate the two. She's making foolish comments, but it's not about her. I didn't read a book about J.K. Rowling. I read a book about Harry Potter. So it's never going to change my love for it. So
I think it's funny that the fandom, as soon as that happened, they're like, wow, it's kind of crazy how nobody wrote these books and they're doing so well. I mean, like as soon as it happened, they denounced her but kept the art completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really so I think a lot of people that were maybe not as like a huge fan or whatever. Everyone thought she was more I guess this is the point. Everyone thought she was a lot more progressive than she actually was. She never wrote any of the characters. Oh, Dumbledore was gay. Where?
Right.
And where? You know what I mean? You can't go back and just retcon it and be like, well, he could have been. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say no, he wasn't, or
Right.
you know what I mean? Or Hermione could have been black. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you didn't write it that way. You can't be considered progressive to go back and say later on, well, they could have been this or that. I mean, her one Asian character is named Cho Chang.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's terrible. But but you know, in spite of that, the underlying story and you know, all the little bits in it, I think people pick up on, and they kind of make it their own.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I have we're going to talk about your stuff real quick. But I went to see you at one of the breweries because you and Vanessa were going around and selling your stuff at the breweries it wasn't a witch festival. Oh yeah, maybe it was. It was like a witch and wizard craft festival or something.
Something like that.
It was pretty cool. But again, I think you were the only group that was selling anything remotely like Harry Potter. And I got you can't see. Oh yeah. So it says fire whiskey makes me frisky. So cute. So I have my little pins. So I know you make a lot of pins. You got your patches. You're selling vests now too, right?
Yeah, so I'm custom doing vests. I've got probably half a dozen blank vests that I'm working on little by little. They're all hand stitched. A lot of the patches are going to be just for that vest, and I'm not going to reprint anything. So because it sucks to go to some place and see someone with the same exact thing as you know what I mean? And I would hate for someone to show up, you know, at a, you know, Comic-Con or, you know, any of the cosplay events and see another person with something that looks exactly like theirs. So
yeah, I mean, especially something like that's so unique. You know, you could do a whole vest that's just, you know, relates to your house, but nobody's going to have that at Universal. And then if you walk up and somebody has the same exact patch, it's like, oh, I mean, it's cool because you both bought it from the same person, but yeah, I see what you mean. So, yeah, that's awesome. Do you have anything there you can show, or you just want to?
Yeah, I've got a vest. I don't know how well it'll show up, but let's see. We'll try. So this is the top of it.
Wands, not bombs.
Yeah, you can see it's fully. And so here's the Weird Sisters. That was the band that was, that was the band that was, they played the Yule Ball.
Oh, yeah.
But they couldn't, because there's already a Weird Sisters in Canada, so they couldn't announce that that's what it was, you know, in the movies, but in the books, you know, whatever. A lot of those, and that's another weird fact, a lot of the guys were from, or some of the guys were from Radiohead that made up the Weird Sisters band.
Really?
I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
We won't hold that against them.
Yeah. Hex the System. Yeah. I got a little picket that's.
What does that one say? Don't touch me, you creep. Oh, it's a little whatchamacallit?
Picket.
Yeah.
Yeah, spew.
No masters, no slaves.
It's got runes all over it.
Yeah, so that's I took Sirius his tattoos and redid them in Illustrator and made them into a pattern. And I've had a bunch of people ask me, like, are you going to sell more of that fabric? And I'm like, no, I think it's just a one-off for this one thing. You know what I mean? Make it, you know, I'm not giving them away. So make it special for someone. So there's about, on this one, I think there's about 300 studs. So, and then I'm working on another one. Let's see. This one I I dyed it. I buy white vests and I just dye them. So this one, I don't know if you can.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's hands holding a crystal ball that says no future. What else do I have around? I don't know if I did a whole series of different butts. Here's Frankenstein butt.
Our horror fans would like that.
Right. Yeah. So that's the other thing is a lot of the people that like my stuff are also horror fans too. I am too, a huge horror fan. So yeah, they're not just, most of the people that are into this stuff that I'm doing aren't just Harry Potter people. They're, into all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we'll definitely put up a link to the store. It's
Cool.
The Instagram is We Are Potter Punks, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So we'll put up a bunch of links.
And then, I have a website that I'm working on now, but for right now, it points to my Etsy page, and it's just potterpunks.com.
Okay.
So
before we leave, every guest has to do our questions.
Okay.
And they're called 3 in the Seat and 3 on the Street. So the first 3 I have to do with movies, 3 in the Seat, like the theater. So if you could be any film character, who would it be? You can't say Sirius Black either.
Yeah, no. Akira, maybe?
Okay. Do you have a favorite, or can you pick out a favorite sex scene from a movie?
Akira?
What did you say?
Akira?
Yeah. Favorite sex scene. Ooh, what about that one from, what was it? Was that Cabin Fever?
Oh, where she was shaven.
Yeah, no, when like the terrible noise that was being made under the covers.
Oh yeah.
And his fingers were just going into an open wound. I think that was my favorite.
Okay. If there's what's one item that you think should never be brought into a theater?
I guess a gun. I would say guns in theaters are fucking horrible. Guns in general are not my favorite thing, and when you bring them into theaters, they're not good either.
Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, what is a song that you jam out to?
There's so many. I'm really liking this new band. They're called The Chats. They're from Australia. And do you guys know what a bogan is? It's basically like an Australian, like, white trash type of guy.
Okay.
So they do punk songs about, like, not getting their Centrelink, which is, like, their, like, welfare check, and, like, drinking beers and being on smoke breaks and shit like that. So, yeah, Smoko, I think, is a song that I've been listening to a ton.
Okay. Can you think of a memorable put down that was said to you throughout your life? Even if it was funny or just something that was memorable.
Memorable put down.
This one's always hard, right?
Yeah. I know I was. Well, I mean, everyone always used to, scream terrible homophobic stuff at me. That's not really my favorite, though.
Well, not a favorite.
That was not memorable. I can't. I have no idea. I think I've blocked them all out.
Why would they say homophobic things?
Well, because when you look weird and different, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you had long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And last but not least, the best question, what is your favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich? So there is a place in Palm Harbor. Yeah. It's called Green Table. and they do vegan and vegetarian stuff, and they have the best vegan gyro, which it's
Oh.
yeah, it's got you know, this, it's called Satan, is the plant-based. Yeah, it's the plant-based meat
Oh, okay.
substitute that they use.
Got it.
So yeah, I would say that's my favorite.
Satan sandwich. All right.
Satan sandwich.
Satan sandwich. Like it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on our extra show about Harry Potter.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like I said, we're going to plug, you know, the store and everything, and I want everybody to go look at it and follow, and buy some stuff. So
Nice.
anybody have anything else? Poor Roman. This is a rough week for him.
Oh, no. It's okay. Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. We look forward to having you back on, maybe when we talk horror, or maybe have a Jimmy Stewart episode.
Or
we'll
yeah, when you guys do a trauma episode, let me know.
Okay.
I'll be on.
All right. You want to send us out, Roman?
Voila.
I'll send you out with my wand.
Oh.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Thanks for coming on, sir.
Later.
Bye.